Tonight on KVNU's For the People, a real treat. I think this is the first time we've ever had a presidential candidate on. We've got Chuck Baldwin. He's the Constitution Party nominee for the President of the United States. So, Mr. Baldwin, thanks for being with us on KVNU.
Thank you very much, Tom. It's a joy to be with you.
And we've also got Jenny Christensen joining us for the interview. So Jenny's going to be chiming in and participating as well. So, Jenny, thanks for being here tonight, too.
I think it's exciting.
It is exciting. So, presidential candidate right around the 4th of July in Logan, Utah. And you're from Pensacola, Florida, Mr. Baldwin. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up running for president and in Logan, Utah on the 4th of July?
Okay, thanks a lot. Well, I'm the husband of one, the father of three, and the grandfather of six. And as far as I'm concerned, that's the greatest privilege and honor in the world. Being president of the United States doesn't compare to having a wonderful family. And so I thank God for that. I have been a syndicated columnist, and I still am doing that. My columns appear in newspapers and periodicals and magazines and websites all over America. In fact, I'm probably more known nationally through my columns than any other thing. I have been a radio talk show.
All right. Excellent.
You can identify with that for 8 years. I did Chuck Baldwin Live. It was local for 6 years. The last 2 years it was nationally broadcast on the Genesis Communications Network. And I'm not doing that currently, though, to do what I'm doing now. And then, of course, I've been the pastor of Crossroad Baptist Church in Pensacola as well. Why did I become president? Why did I become the nominee for president? I'm looking ahead. I'm looking in November.
You are.
It was not something that I really sought, to be honest. I've always lived my life with the philosophy that the job seeks the man doesn't seek the job. And I was happy to campaign for Ron Paul during the Republican primary. I was a big fan and supporter, still am, by the way. He and I are friends. We talked on the phone just yesterday. And I'll be speaking for him at his Freedom March in Washington, D.C. next weekend. But when it became obvious that he would not be the Republican nominee, there were some very influential people within the Constitution Party that approached me and asked me would I consider putting my name in the hat to be their potential nominee. Dr. Alan Keyes was also striving to obtain the nomination. So after prayer and deliberation and discussions with my family, I went ahead and allowed my name to be put in nomination. And to my surprise, literally, the delegates at the convention in Kansas City, Missouri on April 26th selected me as their nominee by a vote of 74% to 24%. And I'm honored and privileged to be that candidate. And I want to take the message of limited government and constitutional government and liberty to the American people, and I'm glad to be here. And as far as being in Logan on the July 4th weekend, what better place to be, right? This is a wonderful, patriotic place, and I'm glad to be here.
It's fantastic. Let me ask you a question that we had that I asked to Wayne Allen Root, because he's the vice presidential nominee for the Libertarian Party, and we have a two-party system of government in the United States, and we often debate about whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, and it puts a third-party candidate like you in a position that makes it really challenging, and some would say just straight up impossible to win. And so some third-party candidates will come right out and say, look, I'm running because I want to advance this agenda, I want to affect the discussion, and others say, no, I'm here to win. So are you in it to win it, or are you in it to influence the national dialogue?
We're in it to win it. We really are. If you were having this discussion in 1860, and instead of me sitting here, it was Abraham Lincoln, you would have been asking him the same question. Because in 1860, the Republican Party was a third party. It was a minor party. They had never won a federal elected office. Abraham Lincoln himself had tried to win various offices and had failed. There was two major parties at that time. There was the Democrats and the Whigs. And I'm sure that everybody would have said, if there was a CNN survey around, they would have said, well, Abraham Lincoln doesn't have a chance. Republican Party is a third party. It's a two-party system, and they can't win. It's the same question. But lo and behold, in the providence of God, Abraham Lincoln became the president. The Republican Party became a prominent party. And now where are the Whigs? They've gone by the wayside. So it's been the Republicans and Democrats for 140 years. But we feel that both the Democrats and the Republicans have left the moorings of constitutional government. They have left what it was that built our country. And we believe that the country is ripe for a third party. Let me quote two sources to kind of give evidence to that. Fox News, just a couple of weeks ago, published a survey in which they asked the American people, would you be willing to vote for an independent party candidate this year? And according to that survey, 47% of the voters, so take in the error margin, 50%, half the American people said they would be willing to vote for a third party candidate this year. I just left Michigan, where the economy is so terrible, has been devastated by these two parties. And they asked the same question to the people of Michigan. 80% of the residents of Michigan said they'd be willing to vote for a third party in 2008. So who knows? Our Constitution is the formation of our government. And this country is not founded on two parties. In fact, George Washington warned against an overemphasis of party loyalty in his farewell address. And everything he said has come true. Our country is not built on two parties. Our country is built on the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Bill of Rights. It's been two parties over the years that have been the vehicles for these ideas. And who knows that in the sovereignty of God that maybe the Republican Party will be going the way of the Whigs, and the Constitution Party will be the new party that will become part of the two-party system.
Do you see that happening? The Constitution Party taking on the role of conservatism and antiquating the Republican Party?
I think it's very possible because the Republican Party has proven that it is not loyal to conservative constitutional principles. And by the way, Tom, I don't really care for that conservative versus liberal jargon that's out there. It's gotten to the point today that conservatives versus liberals doesn't really mean a lot. We're losing our freedoms at the hands of conservatives just as fast as we are at the hands of Democrats. When you look at the policies of the Bush administration and the Republicans that controlled Congress for 6 years and look at how they spent uncontrollably tax dollars, and you look at how they increased the size and scope of the federal government, and look at the Patriot Act and the unwarranted searches and seizures and eavesdropping and surveillance and all these things that have come down the pike since George W. Bush became president, things that we would have thought unconscionable just a few years ago, and yet it's happened on the watch of the Republican Party. So really it's got to the point now that it's really not Republican or Democrat, conservative or liberal. The way I look at it is you're either an American or you're a globalist. And the two major party candidates are globalists in philosophy, and I believe in America first, and the Constitution Party has an America first agenda. And the more the American people hear about this agenda, the more they hear our message, the more they like us, and that's why we're the fastest growing party in the country today.
Now, partisanship for partisanship's sake, where we have loyalty to the party over principle, I think Americans will universally agree that's a bad thing, and it happens, unfortunately. But labels about philosophy do matter. There is a difference between a conservative, a true conservative, not President Bush, but a true conservative philosophy, and a liberal philosophy. And those labels are helpful in describing those differences. And, of course, there's also libertarians, which was what I happen to be. And as we describe your political philosophy, is it fair to call it a conservative philosophy? Is it a libertarian philosophy? What would you describe it as?
I would describe myself as a constitutionalist. Our party is called the Constitution Party, and I would describe myself as a constitutionalist. And I do think that the labels have blurred to the point of insignificance, especially the term conservative or liberal. Really and truly, the term conservative doesn't mean a lot today. Conservative in what? In spending? Well, the conservatives in the Republican Party have exploded federal spending since 2001. I mean, so obviously to be a conservative, it can't mean less spending because they've spent us into oblivion since they've been in office. Does it mean conservative in terms of the moral issues? What have they done to protect innocent unborn children in the wombs of their mothers? They had the control of the federal government for 6 years, from 2000 to 2006. They didn't do anything to overturn Roe v. Wade. They didn't do anything to end abortion on demand. So what does that mean? I mean, what I think is what's happened is we've lost sight of the principles of our country, and that is the Declaration principles, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the fundamental founding principles upon which our country was based. Neither party represents those principles, and as a party, we are committed to the preservation of the constitutional form of government and the Constitution principles that we have enjoyed in this country.